The Saga of the Subparts. A Hero's Journey Through OSHA, 1926. Welcome, adventurers, to the Saga of the Subparts. Today, we embark on an epic quest through the construction safety realm, guided by the ancient scrolls of 29 CFR, 1926. Segment 1. The Call. Group. ABC, a brave champion. Our story begins in the Subpart A, general lands of construction, where a new hero arises. The ancient laws are complex, requiring study of the Subpart B. General interpretations whispered by the elders. The hero's quest, decreed by the wise council, is to uphold the sacred code of Subpart C, general safety and health provisions throughout the realm. Segment 2. Trials of Health and Protection. Group. DESI. Defend every zone. Before facing true peril, the hero seeks counsel from the mystics of Subpart D, occupational health and environmental controls, learning secrets of clean air and quietude. They are gifted enchanted Subpart E, personal protective equipment, armor against unseen dangers. For lurking in the shadows are the dreaded Subpart Z, toxic and hazardous substances, poisons that can fell the unwary. Segment 3. Facing the fiery gauntlet and perilous heights. Group. FGKMPX. Foes generate kindle, mighty peaks multiply. The first great trials await. The journey leads through the Dragon's Pass, demanding knowledge of Subpart F, fire protection and prevention, strange runes and wards. Subpart G, signs, signals and barricades, block safe passage, warning of dangers. Arcane energies crackle, requiring mastery over Subpart K, electrical safety runes. Then, the hero must scale the treacherous sky cliffs. Only adherence to the laws of Subpart M. Full protection prevents a deadly plunge. Below, in the Goblin Mines, forgotten Subpart P, excavations threaten collapse. Ascent and descent rely on the enchanted Subpart X, stairways and ladders. Segment 4. Mastering Tools and War Engines. Group. HEJNOWCC. Handle iron joints. No ordinary wheels cause calamity. Victory requires not just courage, but skill. The hero learns the giant law of Subpart H. Materials handling. They master legendary Subpart I. Tools, hand and power, forged in ancient times. Sometimes the forge must be lit for Subpart J, welding and cutting, risking the dragon's ire anew. Great beasts and engines traverse the land. Giant eagles and griffins, Subpart N, helicopters, hoists, elevators and conveyors, carry vital supplies. War mammoths and iron golems, Subpart O, motor vehicles, mechanized equipment. Reshape the battlefield, needing Subpart W. Roll over protective structures, ROPS, lest they fall. Towering over all are the siege giants, Subpart CC, cranes and derricks, capable of immense feats but requiring absolute control. Segment 5. Conquering Specialized Realms. Group LQR Stuv YAA. Lofty quests require steadfast trust until victory yields all access. The quest leads to diverse and dangerous domains. Elven cities are built upon Subpart L, scaffolds. Dwarven fortresses demand knowledge of Subpart Q, concrete and masonry construction, and Subpart R, steel erection. Sometimes delving into Subpart S, underground construction or facing the Subpart T, Demolition of cursed ruins is necessary. Forbidden magic. Subpart U. Blasting and explosives may be required, or navigating lands crackling with raw energy. Subpart V. Power transmission. The hero might even brave the deeps. Subpart Y. Diving, or the suffocating subpart AA. Confined spaces to complete their task. Having faced every trial, from the general laws to the most specific dangers, the hero returns, bearing the knowledge of all subparts. They are now a master builder, a guardian of safety, ensuring the realm of construction thrives under safe and healthful provisions. The journey was perilous, but the hero prevailed.
Welcome to the deep dive. Sometimes tackling a complex set of rules feels like a real quest.
It definitely can.
And today we're looking at a big one. OSHA 1926. That's the safety rule book for construction. Think of it like this huge, detailed map. Crucial, for sure, but tricky to navigate without a guide.
Absolutely. And for people in the industry, understanding 1926 isn't just about checking boxes. It's fundamentally about safety, making sure everyone gets home safe.
Exactly. It's serious business.
It is. And the sheer volume, all the parts, it can seem, overwhelming at first glance.
Right, which is why we liked the approach in our source material for today. It breaks OSHA 1926 down by its subparts, the different sections.
Organizing it is key.
Yeah, it presents it almost like a journey through different safety zones. We found that framing really helpful, actually. Kind of like decoding ancient scrolls, but for safety regs.
That structure is vital. Instead of one massive document, you see these distinct areas. Much easier to get your head around.
So that's our mission today. We want to give you a clear map, an overview of how OSHA 1926 is put together, what the main requirements are in those key areas.
Not every single tiny detail.
We won't get bogged down, just the lay of the land, a solid foundation. So, ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so our source starts, logically, at the beginning, laying the groundwork with subparts A, B, and C. What are these first few about?
Right, so A, B, and C, they really set up the whole framework. Subpart A is general provisions. It basically sets the scope.
Scope, meaning like who and where it applies.
Exactly. Draws the boundaries, you could say. Defines the construction site we're talking about.
Okay, defines the playing field. Got it.
No.
Then subpart B, general interpretations. That sounds important.
It is. Subpart B gives you the definitions, the key terms, the phrases you'll see used throughout the whole standard.
Like a glossary.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Ensures everyone's speaking the same safety language. You
Oh.
kind of need that context to understand the later parts properly.
Makes sense. And that brings us to subpart C, general safety and health provisions. This sounds like the big overarching rules.
That's a good way to put it. Subpart C lays out the fundamental safety duties, things every project has to do.
Like what, for instance?
Things like having an accident prevention program, making sure first aid is available, keeping the worksite generally safe. It's the core stuff.
So A, B, and C give us the who, the what, and the sort of basic how of the rules. The foundation.
Precisely, the essential bedrock for everything else.
Okay, foundation laid. Now let's talk about protecting the actual workers, the people. That leads us to subparts D, E, and Z. What do these cover?
Right, this group is focused squarely on worker well-being. Subpart D, that's occupational health and environmental controls.
Environmental controls.
Yep.
Like air quality.
Exactly. Air quality, ventilation, noise levels, the permissible ones, anyway, sanitation. It's about making sure the environment itself isn't the hazard.
Those less obvious dangers, maybe? The ones with long-term effects?
Often, yes. Then you have Subpart E, personal protective equipment, PPE. This one's more direct.
Right. The gear, hard hats, glasses.
Exactly that. Hard hats, eye protection, respirators when needed, gloves, safety boots, all of it. It specifies what PPE is needed for which tasks, protecting from immediate physical harm.
Essential armor for the job site. And then there's subpart Z, toxic and hazardous substances. Sounds serious.
It covers very serious risks. Think asbestos, lead, silica, various chemicals, things you might encounter on site.
So how to handle them safely?
Yes. Safe handling, storage, disposal, also monitoring worker exposure, training. It's about knowing the risks of these substances and controlling them.
Okay, so we've got the basics, protecting people from environmental stuff and giving them gear and handling hazardous materials. What about the big physical dangers? That brings us to, let's see, F, G, K, M, P, and X.
Ah, yes. This group tackles some of the really common, really serious physical risks. First up, Subpart F, fire protection and prevention.
A huge risk on construction sites, I imagine.
Always. So F covers fire extinguishers, alarms, emergency plans, handling flammable stuff safely.
Mhm.
Basic fire safety, but crucial. Improper storage of flammables is actually a super common violation.
Huh. Good to know. Okay, after fire, subpart G, signs, signals, and barricades. Communication.
You got it. Clear communication prevents accidents. So G is about safety signs, warning signs, danger signs, also hand signals for equipment operators, traffic control on site, and using barricades to block off unsafe areas.
Visual cues, keeping people informed and separated from danger. Then subpart K, electrical, another major hazard.
Oh, definitely. K is big. It covers everything electrical, proper wiring, grounding, safe use of tools, temporary power, preventing shocks, electrocution, electrical fires. It's very detailed.
And then subpart M, fall protection. We hear about this one all the time.
And for very good reason. Falls are consistently a top killer in construction. Subpart M mandates fall protection systems, guardrails, nets, personal fall arrest harnesses, anytime people are working at height.
Makes sense.
And interestingly, a lot of serious fall injuries happen from relatively low heights, 6 feet or even less sometimes. So it's always critical.
Wow, okay. That's important. What about digging? Subpart P, excavations. What are the risks there?
The big one is cave-ins, trenches collapsing. It can happen incredibly fast and it's often fatal.
So P is about preventing that.
Exactly. It requires protective systems, shoring, sloping the sides, trench boxes, also covers safe ways to get in and out, and requires regular inspections by someone competent.
Right. And the last one in this physical hazard group, subpart X, stairways and ladders. Seems basic, but I guess accidents happen.
They do. A lot, actually. Slips, trips, falls from ladders. So Subpart X sets the rules for safe design, construction, and use of stairs and ladders, both temporary and permanent ones.
Even the simple things need rules. Okay, so we've covered physical hazards like falls, fires, electricity. Now, what about the tools and heavy equipment? That takes us to subparts H, I, J, N, O, W, and CC.
Yes, this group is all about the machinery and tools that do the heavy lifting, literally and figuratively. Subpart H is materials handling.
So, moving stuff around safely?
Basically, yeah, safe lifting techniques, whether manual or using equipment like forklifts or hoists, preventing strains, sprains, things getting dropped, also safe storage of materials.
Okay, then subpart I, tools, hand, and power. Even simple tools can be dangerous.
Absolutely. Cuts, amputations, flying debris. Subpart I covers safety requirements for all sorts of tools, making sure guards are in place on power tools, keeping them maintained, using them correctly.
What about specialized work like welding? That's subpart J, right? Welding and cutting.
Yes. Welding and cutting have unique hazards, burns, intense light hurting eyes, harmful fumes. So J specifies precautions, proper ventilation, the right PPE like welding helmets and leathers, and fire watches in the area.
Makes sense. Now for the bigger machines. Subpart N, helicopters, hoists, elevators, and conveyors.
Right. This covers specific lifting and moving equipment. Think personnel hoists, material hoists, elevators on site, conveyors. It mandates inspections, maintenance, operator qualifications, safe operating procedures. Big machines need strict rules.
And then even bigger stuff in subpart O, motor vehicles, mechanized equipment, the real workhorses.
Exactly. Bulldozers, excavators, dump trucks, graders. Subpart O is about their safe operation. Operator training, keeping the machines maintained, having traffic control plans on busy sites to prevent collisions.
Our source mentions subpart W alongside this rollover protective structures, or ROPS. Why the specific call-out?
Because rollovers and heavy equipment are incredibly dangerous, often fatal for the operator. Subpart W mandates ROPS, essentially a safety cage on many types of equipment. It's a critical life-saving feature.
Got it. And finally, in this equipment group, subpart CC, cranes and derricks. These seem particularly complex.
They are. Cranes are essential, but pose huge risks if anything goes wrong. Subpart CC is massive and very detailed. It covers crane design, inspection, testing, operator certification, signal person qualifications, safe lift planning, everything.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot on tools and equipment. We're nearing the end of our journey. The last group seems to cover specialized construction types. Subparts L, Q, R, S, T, U, V, Y, and AA. What are these about?
Right, these deal with specific kinds of work that have their own unique sets of hazards. Subpart L is scaffolds.
Working platforms, basically.
Yes, temporary platforms for working at height. Scaffold collapses or falls from scaffolds are major issues, so L covers safe design, erection, inspection, and use.
Okay. Then Q, concrete and masonry construction, and R, steel erection, different materials, different risks.
Definitely. Subpart Q deals with concrete work risks like formwork collapsing, safe handling of wet concrete. Subpart R is for steel erection, connecting beams and columns at height, preventing structural collapse during building, managing fall hazards specific to that work.
And sometimes work goes underground. Subpart S, underground construction. And then there's taking buildings down. Subpart T, demolition.
Exactly. Subpart S covers tunnels, shafts, risks like bad air, cave-ins, getting trapped. Requires specific ventilation, communication, and emergency plans. Subpart T addresses demolition risks, unstable structures, falling debris, managing hazardous materials discovered during demo.
Some really high hazard stuff is mentioned next. Subpart U, blasting and explosives, and V, power transmission.
Yeah, these are extremely specialized and dangerous. Subpart U has very strict rules for handling, storing, and using explosives, highly regulated. Subpart V covers working near high-voltage power lines. Preventing electrocution is paramount there, requires specific clearances and procedures.
And the last couple are also quite unique. Subpart Y, diving, and Subpart AA, confined spaces.
Right. Subpart Y applies if commercial diving is part of the construction project, underwater risks, pressure, equipment safety. And Subpart AA is crucial for confined spaces, tanks, vaults, manholes, places with limited entry-exit and potentially hazardous atmospheres, requires permits, testing the air, rescue plans.
Wow. That really paints a picture. OSHA 1926 isn't just a document, it's a whole world of safety considerations.
It really is a comprehensive framework covering construction from the ground up and sometimes down, from general principles to incredibly specific tasks.
So just to recap, we journeyed through the basics in A, B, C, protecting people with D, E, Z, tackling physical hazards like falls and fire in F, G, K, M, P, X, handling tools and heavy equipment in H, I, J, N, O, W, C, C, and finally those specialized jobs in L through AA.
That covers the main territory. And the key takeaway, I think, is that while it's detailed, complex even, the purpose is simple: protecting workers in a dangerous job.
Keeping people safe.
Exactly. And all these subparts, they work together. They're interconnected. Safety isn't just one thing, it's the whole system working.
That's a great point. It's not just isolated rules, but a system. You know, looking at it this way, breaking down something complex like these regulations, it makes you think.
How so?
Well, just how approaching any complex information systemically, understanding its structure, can make it so much more manageable. The sort of journey approach we took today for OSHA, maybe it's a model, a way to tackle other intricate subjects in our work or lives.
That's an interesting thought, applying that kind of structured thinking elsewhere.
Yeah. What other complex maps could we understand better by breaking them down into their core parts, seeing how they connect? Something to think about.